Imagine a perfect world where you can build a restaurant, open the doors, and make loads of money. Unfortunately, those days are over. It takes great leadership, hard work, and long hours to operate a successful restaurant. Together, we can make it happen. This is Restaurantopia. Welcome back to Restaurantopia. We have another excellent episode for our listeners out there today. Normal gang is Anthony Hamilton.
What's going on, guys?
Brian, thank you, Sites, and myself, Dave Ross. I'm fantastic.
Wait, why don't I get a hello? You just say Dave? Is he the only one in your eye anymore?
Oh, Anthony, near and dear to my heart. Phenomenal chef, phenomenal podcast host, all-around Hillcrest superstar.
Oh, I'll buy some of that snake oil you're selling.
No, genuinely good guy.
Oh, yeah, well, I try.
Great human being.
Wow.
Human
You're
being?
just showering me now.
Human being, he's an A+.
No question.
Yeah.
No question.
As a worker, maybe C-.
No, you're a good worker.
Yeah,
too.
okay, cool.
Great.
So,
Again,
so speaking of work, I mean, hopefully Anthony's put some work into this episode.
No.
I looked at the show notes, and when you have to scroll for the show notes on your computer, it's like there's a lot of notes here, Anthony.
I kept it one page. One page, all right?
Should people just block off 4 hours for this? How long is this episode going to be?
I'm shooting for 25 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a pretty good one. And
high impact.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, so this is something I talk about in my seminars a lot, right? I got this email the other day from restaurantowner.com. This email came across and it just said, you're a role model whether you like it or not. And I'm like, boom, that's it. This is what I want to talk about. Because again, I allude to it in my episodes, but I guess this is a sign from the whatever deity you believe in that we should be talking about this today. It's very impactful. And while I got that email, I'm not sure they did a great job of really unpacking it or kind of making it a robust conversation. It was like a one-page kind of hook to get you to go to their website. But at the same time, what they're talking about is a really profound kind of behavior or model, or at least something to remember. Mm-hmm. And so I challenge you guys, look back at your first job, right? What was your first job, Dave?
My first job was at McDonald's.
McDonald's, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a bad example, but that's
Might
okay.
be. I don't know. Yeah.
No, it didn't. But you had managers there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who hired you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I mean, like the name of the person, or
No, I mean just the person in general. I guess what we're talking about.
It was the GM of the restaurant at the time. Yeah.
And how about you?
I feel like I can see. I can't remember her name. I can see her.
Yeah. Fair.
We did construction, so I from probably 12 years old on.
Was it your dad?
Yeah, we worked. I should say my first job that wasn't with my family was road construction, and Calvin hired me, and I remember that like it was yesterday. And that was real work.
Well, thanks for playing into that. I appreciate it. So Calvin probably played a pretty important role in your life, if I had to guess, much like the woman you can't picture. And I think back to my first job was at Taco Bell, and I remember the GM was Don. And I didn't idolize these people very much. I mean, they were good people, and they brought me on. But ultimately, they're in charge of my livelihood. They're in charge of my well-being and psychologically and monetarily. I looked up a lot to Don, and I'm not sure that Don realized that. And I bet you did to Calvin, too. Like, when Calvin came around, you were dressed to impress, right?
It was work. I mean, it was construction. But you're so impressionable for your first job.
Right. And your second job. And your third job. And quite frankly, even now, there's people I look up to. There's mentors I have. Mm-hmm. And I guess what I'm getting at is a lot of times we model our behavior after these people's behavior, right? So when I'm at Taco Bell and Don's doing X, Y, and Z, I know that I can get away with doing X, Y, and Z, and it's acceptable by her standards because she's modeling that behavior, right? Whether I looked up to her or idolized her, I don't know that I did that. But then what happened was when I started getting to other restaurants and started meeting chefs, and then these chefs I really wanted to work for, I really looked up to. And I modeled their behavior implicitly. Like I wanted to walk like them. I wanted to talk like them. I wanted to sound like them. Here's the kicker, though. I never let them know that, right? I never went up to them and said, hey, you're my hero, and I'm going to model your behavior and all that jazz. And so what I'm getting at is I think a lot of times what happens is we get in these positions of leadership. We get into the daily routine, and we start taking these little things for granted. And all of a sudden, we forget that so many people are modeling our behavior.
100%.
And if you guys have worked in restaurants before, some of this behavior from some of the ownership that I've seen and some of the managers that I've seen can be pretty deplorable. And then the other side of the coin, it's pretty amazing, right? So I kind of wanted to dissect this and get your guys' thoughts on, because I think so often we forget the watchful eyes. And I see this all the time when I go out to restaurants too. And it's like, oh man, I wonder what the dishwasher thinks of what this manager's doing right now, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Have you guys experienced something like this?
Going back to that first job, I don't remember the GM that hired me, but I remember some employees that were there, had some tenure, kind of got, that I looked up to, and some things maybe got some bad habits from, and got some, maybe took me in a negative direction on certain things, just because, you looked up to them. So now I'm catching what you're pitching. You know what I mean? It's making a lot of sense.
To me, it goes to being a good human being No matter where you're at in your life, and especially in the restaurant environment, there are people who are watching you, looking up to you, like you said, being a role model, and be a good human being. Maybe I'm going to go off on a little tangent here, but walking through life, we're coming out of a pandemic here, and the mask on the ground in the parking lot, the person at the gym who wears their outside shoes on the running track, the gum by the gas station pump, or just all the deplorable little things that people do that is not good human behavior.
Oh, brother, if you think that stuff's deplorable, you should have worked in restaurants in the 90s.
No, correct. But it's like, sexual harassment.
There you go. Now you're talking.
Doing copious amounts of narcotics, in the kitchen, like all the things that, like, maybe we shouldn't be showing an 18-year-old kid this in life, and what can we do to make sure that they go on a good path that doesn't involve rock bottom and rehab and track marks.
Dude, I can tell you hit it spot on right there. So you kind of just gave away the whole thing. I started as a 16, 17-year-old line cook at a corporate chain. And these guys who are well respected by management, aside from management, these guys were the leaders. These are the default people we went to for expertise. They were the ones in the most important stations and the most important nights. Yeah. I modeled their behavior. There's no question about it. I looked up to them. I idolized them. These guys weren't ready to be mentors. These guys weren't ready to be role models. Just they didn't care. They weren't aware. All that. They had no idea. And maybe they wouldn't have cared because I'm not sure they were great people. But if I looked at them and said, look, these guys can achieve this level of success with these sort of behaviors that I would consider fun, whether you talk about the drugs or the drinking or all that stuff. Yeah. As a young kid, you're like, wait, I can party like that and still be quote unquote successful in my realm? Quite the destructive path. Really is, because now all of a sudden I look at it in a positive light. It's kind of like the rock star mentality, right? Mm-hmm. You look at it and be like, oh my God, I want to be just like them, But to your point, again, it can lead you down a very slippery slope, right?
Well, and I think you hit it on the head when you said aware, or the lack of awareness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
that's the whole point of the show, by the way.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So I don't care what you're doing. If you're listening to this podcast right now, you are a leader. Mm-hmm. Okay? Either you have kids. Yeah. You have employees. You have friends. You have family. You are having an effect on a circle of people in your life, positively, negatively, neutrally, whatever it is. But
that's cool.
But you are a leader. It doesn't matter.
That's a cool way to put it. Yeah. And I think if you're listening to this podcast right now, you are someone who is intellectually curious, wants to improve, wants to get better. And again, whether you're doing 99% of things right, like there's always that little bit of improvement. And also, how are we affecting other people's lives? And I think that is the basis of this episode. But I love that. I don't know if I'm thinking about that enough. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In my realm and with my externs and the people who work for me and all the people that I'm affecting.
Well, what hit me, man, is you're sitting there and you're going about it. You run into someone that you mentored or mentored a few years ago, whether it's a line cook or a sous chef I had, and I haven't talked to them in a while, and they shoot me a text. Hey, chef, what you said about this and blah, blah, blah was really impactful, man. I wanted to let you know. And you look back and you're like, oh, my God, what did I say? Like, when did I say that? Mm-hmm. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. It's like, oh, my God, like these people are picking up, life lessons from me, and I don't even know that I'm putting them down. No. I had no idea that my words would impact someone. And I was so thankful because I'm like, yeah, that's right. I'm a great mentor. I had a positive impact. But then I heard the screeching noise of brakes. And I'm like, wait, if they took that impact from the positivity that I spit, what did they take from the time that I reprimanded him or that I yelled at him? And then I sunk.
Oh, no, I wouldn't even say that. Like, that may have been building and positive also. What did they take from your actions and your conduct and your words when you didn't know anyone was watching?
Yeah, they're always watching.
They're always watching. They're always digesting that. They're always
you're their benchmark.
Correct, but also you're an influence in their life.
Yeah,
like again, it goes back to the role model, and I love that idea and that train of thought. Like, oh, that's cool because it's true.
Here's the spin: is typically a role model is your favorite athlete or your rock star or Mother Teresa or whoever. Mm-hmm. Mother Teresa can't give you a raise. Mother Teresa's not going to approve your vacation. No. So now you have this other dynamic with this role model where they're in charge of your livelihood and your work-life balance, and all of a sudden you're tied in a lot deeper and a lot more soundly than what you would be with a normal role model.
No, I'll tell you, it's like a parent who mails it in, sees their kid every other weekend for 13 minutes, and a parent that is getting reps every single day. We're sitting down for dinner. We're doing first Monday of the month monthly meetings, and we're going over pros and cons and what things that you can improve on. And parents that are in the child's life, coaching them up day after day after day. It's about reps. And as a chef, as a kitchen manager, as a front of house manager, as an owner, you're getting a ton of reps with these people, and you're having an influence. And I'll tell you what, you're having a bigger influence on them than their parents potentially. Think about that. Think how profound that is. Because at some point, it's very difficult for a child to receive coaching from their parents.
Yeah, the minute you turn like 15, it's like your parents become the Charlie Brown parents. Like, wah, 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 wah.
All right, Eli, if you're listening right now, shut this off. No, you're 100% right. Like,
you don't come back around until you're about 25, and you're like, all right, look, I went out and learned stuff on my own, and you guys were right about this. I'm sorry.
You're 100% right about this.
It's the son talking about the father. He's like, man, my dad was so dumb when I was 15, and then by the time I turned 25, it's amazing how much he learned in those 10 years.
Yeah. Exactly. He's a genius. I don't know what happened.
That's amazing how much he changed.
Yeah. The funny part about this too, Brian, is, and I appreciate what you said because I believe it wholeheartedly, is once you get in these positions, like, this is not a choice. Like, this isn't up to you. This is something that comes with the job. And I don't know that enough of us are responsible with this power. I don't know that enough of us are aware of this power. And I hope that someone listening can take a step back like I did, a few years ago and be like, oh my God, like, I got to watch my behavior. I got to censor myself a little bit. I got to filter myself a little bit, because even simple stuff like using your cell phone at work, right?
Yeah.
Like, you mandate your entire staff doesn't use their cell phones ever. Common practice in the restaurant industry. And yet you're on your cell phone constantly. And there's something to be said about managers having cell phones. I get it, the longer shifts and the need to communicate with ownership and higher end decisions. But you can't tell me that not all managers are using it 100% for business purposes. Of course, we're abusing it, right?
But also, I think this is interesting to that point, being present.
Yeah.
When someone is sitting down with you, and Anthony, you've said this in the past episodes, of when you give someone your undivided attention, that means so much versus being disengaged and being aloof because you're tied to this cell phone.
Oh, I can't remember what episode it was. We talked about time management though, and how if we're not organized, it was list on list, right?
Yeah.
And staying organized, and how important. If someone scheduled a meeting with you because they wanted to sit down and discuss their financial situation, and they geared up for a week of nervousness and anxiety, and then you just blow that off, and it's like monumental to them, it's inconsequential to you. Perception's everything, right?
Yep.
But this ties into that exactly. Like, just something simple you said or something simple you didn't say can have that kind of impact, monumental impact on someone, both positive and negative.
No, I agree.
Just as you can have a positive impact on someone, right? And we need to understand that as a leader, is whatever we say, we can pretty much drive the relationship in any direction we want, but we have to be self-aware. The other is true too. Like, I had plenty of managers that I hated, right? That I thought were despicable people. And the restaurant industry breeded these people, or especially early on in my tenure, before Food Network popped up and before this global kind of spotlight came on the restaurant industry. And what happened with those managers is that I gravitated away from them. Right? All the way away from them. Didn't want anything to do with them. Didn't want to model my life after them. Nothing. So then it begs the question, what kind of leaders were they? If their followers didn't like their behavior, whether they were cheating on their wives as one of the service staff, because that happened a lot. Yeah, a lot. No, it was terrible. And I got one person in mind right now. I'm not going to say their name.
Yeah.
But I felt...
Name names.
No, I can't.
Please, we'll edit it.
I don't know.
Please tell us.
No,
because I'll mess up. That'll be the one time I mess up.
Like, Brian falls asleep at the editing.
It's like,
you got a new friend request from LinkedIn. So-and-so wants to join your network.
It
comes with a message.
Yeah, it's someone's attorney.
Yeah, right. Cease and desist. So anyway, this person, I didn't respect what they said because I knew their behavior. I modeled them. I looked up to them at first, and then I realized that they're despicable. And then all of a sudden, I start looking at the organization. I say, like, you guys promoted this person? You guys support this person? You gave this person a raise? You give this person everything. So then how do I feel about not only the manager, but then the organization? Now, all of a sudden, I'm not playing a team game. I'm only playing the game for me. And I'm in it to get raises. I'm in it to steal steaks. I'm in it to eat food. I'm in it to take as many breaks as I can. And all of a sudden, this dissent's created just because the role model wasn't equipped to be a role model.
Well, and think about that, how it goes outside your organization. When you're looking for new staff, do you think the 17-year-old busser is going to recommend this place for his friends or his cousin? Like, no. I mean,
of course not.
Or to eat here or anything. Like, you have an audience of potential customers and marketing people, now that everyone has the ability to blast things on social media.
Such a great point.
Within your staff, you have to know your audience and treat them respectful and know that your actions are being watched.
Yeah.
And think about, like, in the interview process, you can talk a lot about the interviewee coming in, and you've got their best foot forward, the best look, they're answering the questions the way you want to hear them, all that stuff. But how many times have you interviewed somebody and they are asking you questions about your company or about your stuff, and you're doing the same thing back? And then all of a sudden, now the employee comes in and sees a different picture than what you painted.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
bait and switch.
Exactly, right. So how many times do you...
Always bodes well for great relationships, by the way.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this.
Correct.
We'll talk about this in future episodes about how reasons why people don't stay in jobs. You know what I mean? And a lot of it is like, this wasn't what I thought it was.
Well, expectations weren't met.
Exactly.
Because they were not set up. I mean, we could go on and on. Me and you both.
No question.
Expectations are like our jam, right? But yeah, that's exactly right. And another thing is too, you have to understand that as a manager, I think about all like the post shift parties, get-togethers that restaurant people had before pandemic sort of thing. We'd go to the bars, have a shot and a beer, maybe stay up a little too late.
Industry night?
No, we never did industry night. We had our own industry night, right? Like, we did our own.
Like every night was industry night.
Exactly.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
But when you get in a group of people, let's say all three of us work at the same place, right? We go out for a couple shots of JMO, we get a couple beers, and we start loosening up a little bit. What do we talk about?
Work.
Yeah, we talk about work. And then specifically, who do we talk about at work?
Management.
Shitty managers.
Shitty managers or great managers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Mostly shitty, but at the same time, you're going to be the focus of conversation a lot of times. You're going to be the focal point no matter what from your employee standpoint. I'm not sure we realize that. I'm not sure we put enough emphasis on that as people, as leaders, as managers.
That's profound, because they are dissecting every move
Everything.
you make, for the positive or negative, and you have employees who will run through a wall for you, and other employees who would stab you in the back in a second.
And I think for those employees, you got to, both sets of employees, you got to take a look within and say, okay, why?
Yeah.
Why would these people run through a wall for me, and why would they stab me in the back? And that would be where I'd start. But Dave, you manage a lot of people. Do you think about this consciously? Because let's preface this, but I have to say that Dave is a model human being. Like, Dave, you have amazing discipline, incredible habits. You have amazing hair. There's a lot of things that you do that are incredibly admirable. You're a good person, blah, 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 right?
All right. And
Seriously, though, Brian, you agree?
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah. This episode of All Great Things About Dave is sponsored by Hillcrest Foods.
Yeah. Well, they should be happy because they put him in a position of power, right?
No. It's,
Anything else?
I mean, tons, but we're not going to get done in time.
What else did he email you?
I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop this. I mean, please continue. Please. No, I think as we're talking about this, I'm going through in my head, and I'm like, am I walking around conscious of this? I can't say that I am, to be honest with you. I feel that I've come to a point in my life where I just want to always get better, and I want to be a good person, and I think that takes care of it a little bit. It's not.
Absolutely.
So I think it probably starts with self-awareness. So maybe you're listening to this episode and you haven't thought this way, and this will maybe get you in gear. But if you're always just trying to strive to be better and strive to make progress, and I like to say, be better today than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
If that's the key, I think you're always going to have, hopefully, those types of things said about.
Great point, David. If you're listening to this and you're thinking like company culture and what do you have out there in your organization, this is where it starts. I'm telling you.
Always starts at the top.
Yeah. If you have bad company culture, look within. What are the things you're doing? Are you flying off the handle? Are you sexually harassing your staff? Are you doing drugs in front of your staff? Are you promoting hard charging rock and roll type environment?
Yeah.
Like, what are the things that you're doing?
Yeah, and are they appropriate? For the people you have, right?
Correct.
And listen, I've said a lot of things. I've seen a lot of things, and I one of my first restaurants I was an intern at, and it was a great place in Cleveland. And hey, dog, I looked up to the owner a lot because this is this hyper successful place. It was printing money and doing all these amazing things, and all these people were happy, write up after write up, so on and so forth. Much like if Dave were a restaurant, this is what it would be.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So the owner, I had worked there at this time. I did an externship. I went back as a line cook. Then I was a sous chef.
Okay.
Owner still didn't know my name.
No.
I had worked for him for 4 or 5 years in a position of managership. Yeah. Hey, he's paying my benefits. He's paying me a good salary. I'm running a large part of his kitchen and a large part of his revenue stream. Didn't bother to learn my name.
Really?
Yeah. Guess what my loyalty was like?
0.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. And that's unfortunate because I all he had to do was remember my name and I would have been all on board because I looked up to the guy. But I got so turned off by the fact that he didn't bother to stop and say hi to me. He didn't bother to learn my name. It was, hey, can you cook this? I need this. Or hey, this table needs this. Can you make this happen? And that was it. That was the extent of our relationship. He didn't realize that the power he had. And he didn't wield it properly.
It goes back to being a good human. Be a good human. Like, is that difficult to know your staff's name? I know as a restaurant operator out there, you're thinking, yeah, but I have a really high turnover. This is not that. This is someone who's...
This is how you stop turnover.
Yeah, but also, you were in the organization how long?
4 years.
That's incredible.
From extern to sous chef. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, we had
I don't
120 employees.
I don't even know what to say.
It wasn't a small operation.
No, I'm not saying... Again, I understand that people have larger operations. I understand that people have multiple units.
Yeah.
But this is 4 years. How many people had been there 4 years?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, 500, 600, somewhere around there, just because of turnover, probably. If I had to guess.
No, but how many people were still there?
Oh.
I mean,
good.
at some point, you just keep seeing the same face over and over again, and you don't have the decency to remember their name.
No, because he's always got bigger fish to fry, right? Always the next deal, always the next this. But then I look at it and I say, okay, look, like what's bigger than the fish you have?
No.
Like the people you have are what's driving your engine, man.
100%.
No, it's all about the people.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a good place to stop, fellas.
Yeah, no, but your restaurant is your people. You may want to minimize that, make it less than, because it's your amazing idea and your amazing location and your amazing this, amazing that. But what really makes you amazing is your people. Be a good human. You're a role model. Anthony, thank you so much for putting this episode together. Love the show notes. They are voluminous. And I would really suggest that you take a look at them because they are amazing.
Thanks, brother.
All right. Thank you. Dave, appreciate it. Anthony, have a great week.
Will do.
This is a high-quality pod. Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Adios.
Thank you for listening to Restaurantopia. The gratitude that we have for each and every one of you spending your precious time to listen to this podcast is immeasurable. Please make sure to tell a friend about this podcast. And also, if you have any feedback for us, visit us on restaurantopia.com and drop us a line. You can also subscribe on your favorite place to listen to podcasts. Thank you and have a great day.